Hey everyone, Vann De Marco from Oakwyn Realty here. In this video, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of buying a presale versus built home in the Greater Vancouver area. So first off, let's talk about what a presale actually is. So basically, it's a home that's available for purchase before it's move-in ready. So that could be before construction has started or even during construction, but before the building is completed. So what happens in most cases is developers will build a preview center and they'll have potential clients come in, look at floor plans, layouts, discuss pricing, and select units to purchase before any construction actually happens. Then at the end of the construction period, when the building is complete, the new owners can move into their homes. So timelines vary, but it can be anywhere from a year or two up to 3 or 4 years, depending on the complexity of the development. So let's jump into the pros and cons. So we'll start with the fun ones, of course, the pros first. So pro number one is you don't actually have to worry about getting a mortgage until the completion of the property. So let's take a hypothetical example here. I bought a presale today that's not completing until 2024. The only thing that I'm going to have to worry about today is the deposit, which is up to the developer. It can be anywhere from 5 to 15, 20%. But I don't actually have to put any money towards the down payment or get a mortgage until 2024 when the building is complete and I can move in. So this is nice for a lot of buyers because it gives you that window of time where you can continue to save before the building is actually complete and you have to worry about starting to pay a mortgage. So pro number two is the 7-day rescission period. So in BC, a developer is legally required to give a buyer a 7-day window after they sign the contract for that contract to be legally binding. And during that time, you as a buyer basically get to go over the disclosure statement, go over the contract, have your lawyer look at things to make sure that everything lines up and looks good before the contract becomes binding. So this can be compared to a subject removal period in the case of a built home, except in this scenario, it's legally required, so you can't actually waive it, and you can technically back out of the contract for any reason. So this really allows you as a buyer to kind of step back with a cool head, look over all of the documentation, and make sure that it's a good purchase for you before you're legally bound to the contract. So the next part is warranty protection. So presale homes in BC are required to come with a 2-5-10 warranty. So basically what that means is you as a buyer are getting 2 years of warranty on labor and materials. You're getting 5 years of warranty on the building envelope and 10 years on the structure as a whole. So you can be fairly certain that upon moving in, there won't be additional costs out of pocket if things with the building were to go wrong. So the next pro, and the reason that a lot of people like to invest in presale opportunities, is because the value may appreciate between the time that you sign the contract and the time that the building is built. So if the real estate market increases by 20%, basically between the time that you sign that contract and the time that you take possession of your home, you're getting a 20% discount, or you're making that 20% without any additional effort. Okay, now that we're done talking about the fun stuff, let's discuss the cons. So con number one is that GST does apply on newly built properties in BC. So there will be a 5% additional cost on top of the purchase price for a buyer of a presale unit. So con number two is that there is no guarantee of profit. Just like on one side, yes, the value can increase between the time that you sign the contract and the time the building's complete. It can also go down. So if the real estate market takes a nosedive and your property is worth, let's say, 20% less when the building is completed, you can start to run into a couple of issues, because if, for instance, you sign the contract saying you're paying $500,000 for this unit in 2018, it's now 2021 and the building is complete, but that unit's now only worth $450,000 because the market's gone down, you're going to have a difficult time getting a mortgage for that $500,000 unit. So what might happen in some cases is that you as a buyer might have to make up that difference because the bank will only technically lend you a mortgage on what the property's worth today. So con number three is potential completion date delays. So what will happen is the developer will usually provide an estimated completion day for the project, Those dates can technically get pushed out, and depending on how the contract is written and what's in the disclosure statement, there's a certain amount of time that they can legally push that out without any repercussions. So there is a little bit of leeway there. Just know that it's not a hard and fast rule that they have to complete by a specific day. So there is potential that that could get pushed out months or even years in some cases. So con number 4 is the finished product that you get may not be exactly what you expected. And this doesn't necessarily mean that the developer had a malicious intent and is giving you a totally different thing than they promised you. But it does sometimes take a lot of creativity and vision to actually purchase off of a floor plan and know what you're going to be getting when you walk into that unit. When you look at something on a brochure or in a digital rendering, it might feel a certain way, but when you actually step into the space, you might find that it feels less luxurious and less spacious as you originally thought it would. Also, in some cases during the construction phase, things change, so there is potential for things like hardware, cabinetry, and finishes to be slightly different than you had expected originally. So the best way to avoid potential surprises like that is to work with reputable developers that have a good track record of previous projects throughout Vancouver. That wraps up this video. I hope that provided some value to you guys. If you have any questions about pre-sales in the Greater Vancouver and Squamish area, feel free to reach out. I recently created a video on Red Bridge out in Squamish. I'll link it up in the corner here. And I'll be doing a tour of the St. George in Mount Pleasant tomorrow, so stay tuned for that video to come out next week. I hope you all have a fantastic day, and we'll see you soon.